Okay, let's dive into something. Well, something pretty fundamental. You know that feeling when you create something, that spark? Bringing an idea into the world.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It really is. But then there's that whole other step, isn't there, after the making part?
Putting it out there.
Exactly. Sharing it, publishing it, and doing that, wow, it can feel incredibly vulnerable.
It really opens you up. Sometimes it even sparks debate or pushback.
Right. And what's so interesting about the source notes we're looking at today is how they immediately challenge that sort of traditional picture we have of publishing.
Mm-hmm. Like the big formal event.
Yeah.
A book launch, maybe an album drop.
Yeah. Like, it only counts if some major company gives you the green light. But these notes argue it's much broader.
So much broader.
So our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack what publishing means now, in today's world, using this stack of notes as our guide.
We're going to look at all the different ways you can share your work.
Yeah, and the motivations behind it, the challenges, and definitely the opportunities too.
Because, like the notes say, it's not just about getting, famous or reaching millions.
Right. It's about making your work visible, opening that door to connection, feedback, maybe even disagreement.
All the things that actually help you grow as a creator. It's essential.
So if it's not just about big publishers, what is publishing, really, according to these notes?
Well, to get straight to it.
They really do. They tackle that traditional view head on. Publishing, at its core, it's not limited to those formal structures.
Exactly. Fundamentally, it just means making your work visible to other people.
Taking it from your private space.
And putting it into a more public sphere. Simple as that, really.
And the examples they list are so good for showing the range. They talk about everything from, sharing your art at a local fair.
Or just posting a poem you wrote on Instagram.
Uploading a song to SoundCloud, starting a little blog or a newsletter for friends.
Even selling handmade zines at a flea market. That counts.
And yeah, they do include pitching a manuscript to a traditional publisher.
But it's framed as just one option, among many, many others. Not the only goal.
What really hit me was their point that there's no single right way to do it.
Totally depends on you.
Yeah, on your goals for that specific piece of work, your values, and honestly, your comfort level with being seen.
And I love this idea they emphasize that publishing is basically starting a conversation.
Yeah.
When you share something, you're putting it out there for response. You open the door for connection, for feedback.
Which might be positive.
Or it might be critical.
Yeah.
Or just different perspectives. And the notes say that whole exchange, that dialogue, is a vital part of how you develop.
It really reframes it, doesn't it? Okay, so moving from what it is, the notes then lay out what most creators see as the two sort of main roads.
Right, when thinking about sharing work more formally, you've got self-publishing versus traditional publishing.
Often seen as polar opposites.
With self-publishing, the big thing the notes highlight is full creative control.
You call all the shots.
Everything.
Yeah.
And the cost barrier. It's way lower than it used to be.
You see platforms enabling this everywhere, like Amazon KDP for books,
Gumroad, Patreon for digital stuff or subscriptions.
Etsy for physical crafts, obviously. The notes say this route is great if you have a really specific niche audience.
Or if you're doing something experimental, maybe something that wouldn't fit a traditional mold.
But, and this is the crucial counterpoint in the notes,
Yeah, there's always a but.
if you self-publish, you are responsible for, well, everything else.
You need marketing skills. You need to build that audience yourself, engage with them. You're the publisher, the marketer, the distributor.
The whole package. Okay, so then the other side, traditional publishing, or getting representation, like an agent.
This offers a different set of things. The notes mention access to industry expertise, for one.
People who know the ropes.
Exactly. And wider distribution, usually through established channels they already have set up. Plus, often, marketing support.
Sounds good, but what are the trade-offs mentioned?
Well, it usually involves a lot of pitching, sending out query letters, trying to get someone to say yes.
And you often need to be willing to compromise, maybe on the cover, the title, even parts of the content sometimes.
And it's generally a much slower process. Takes time.
But the notes add an interesting angle here, too. While some see traditional publishing as a gatekeeper,
For others, it's actually a validating structure.
yeah, like getting that external stamp of approval, being chosen and backed by an established name can feel really significant.
And importantly, the notes remind us it's not strictly binary. There are loads of hybrid options now.
Like indie presses.
Indie presses, microlabels in music, creative collectives. The landscape is way more varied.
That makes sense. Okay, that distinction helps frame the choices. Now, Let's shift gears a bit. Something that bubbles under a lot of these decisions.
The money question.
Yeah. The tension between creating for profit versus creating just for passion.
The notes tackle this head on,
Oh,
and they're really clear up front. Making money from your creative work, it's not inherently bad or like selling out.
right. They frame monetization as totally valid. It can fund future projects.
Help you build a sustainable creative life.
And it reflects the value of your time, your skills. That's important.
Absolutely, your creative energy is valuable. But the notes also offer caution.
Always the but.
Pursuing money can add a lot of pressure. It might change why you're making the work in the first place.
Could even alter your relationship with the art itself, maybe?
Exactly. And they pose some really good self-reflection questions here. Stuff like, would I still make this if nobody paid me for it?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or how do I actually measure the value here? Is it the money? Is it the feedback? The impact? Really makes you think.
Definitely worth sitting with those. Okay, so on the flip side, creating purely for passion.
The notes describe this as being driven by internal stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Self-expression, curiosity, maybe just the joy of doing it.
Or working through emotions, experiences.
Yeah. And that kind of making often feels, well, freer, more playful, maybe less pressure.
And the notes add this nice nuanced work that starts purely out of passion. It absolutely can become profitable later.
Without necessarily losing its soul, if you stay true to your values.
And passion projects can be just as rigorous and impactful as paid work.
Definitely. The notes don't rank one above the other. It's about understanding your own drivers.
Oh, okay. This whole conversation about how and why we publish, it's all happening in a world totally transformed by digital tech.
Oh, massively. The notes call this the rise of the everyday creator.
And this is largely down to platforms, right? They list a bunch.
Yeah, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Substack for newsletters.
Etsy, Spotify for music, Medium for writing, Ko-Fi for tips. The list goes on.
And what these platforms have done, according to the notes, is just make it so much easier for anyone to share their voice.
Find those niche audiences that were impossible to reach before.
Build a small business around what you make.
And just contribute directly to culture without needing permission from the old gatekeepers.
The upsides listed are pretty compelling. More accessibility for folks outside the traditional power structure.
Community-driven growth.
And just this explosion of diverse creative forms we see everywhere.
But of course, there are downsides too. The notes are realistic about that.
Yeah, they mentioned the sheer oversaturation. It's hard to get noticed in such a crowded space.
The pressure to constantly be on brand or chase viral moments.
And the fact that you're building on someone else's platform dependency, that's a big one. Your audience isn't truly yours.
So the culture has shifted. The old gatekeepers might have less power.
But now we have new challenges, like algorithms and monetization structures that shape what gets seen. It's a mix of authenticity and strategy now.
And speaking of tech-changing things, the notes also bring up AI, its role in creative markets.
Yeah, that's definitely a hot topic. The notes look at potential benefits first.
Like speeding things up.
Speeding up production, helping with brainstorming or drafting, maybe lowering technical barriers for some creative tasks.
Could even open up new ways of creating hybrid forms.
Possibly. But then there are the concerns, the tensions, and they are significant.
Like where the training data comes from.
Exactly. Ethical sourcing, permission, compensation. Big questions there.
And the worry about AI replacing human creators, especially in commercial fields.
Does it devalue human effort, originality? And who even owns the work when AI is involved? Authorship gets blurry.
So the notes again turn it back to personal reflection questions.
Things like, does AI help you make something you genuinely couldn't before?
Is it a collaborator or just a tool?
And are you upfront about using it?
And they include this important warning.
Yeah. Tools themselves might be neutral, but the systems they exist in, definitely not neutral.
So the advice seems to be use it to enhance human creativity, maybe, not replace it.
That seems to be the suggestion.
Or
Which leads nicely into another very current question the notes tackle directly.
should everything you create become a side hustle?
And the short answer in the source material, a very firm no.
Thank goodness.
Right. The notes do acknowledge the good things about side hustles. They can offer financial independence,
Turn hobbies into income streams.
teach you valuable business skills, marketing, all that.
Those are real benefits. But the notes also really highlight the potential downsides.
Like turning something you love, your passion, into a source of financial stress.
That can lead straight to burnout. Sucks the joy right out of it.
And it can feed into that whole maybe unhealthy societal pressure. This idea that your worth is tied to how productive or profitable you are.
Oh, yeah.
So the alternative view from the notes feels really crucial here.
Which is?
It's absolutely 100% okay to create just for yourself.
Doesn't need to scale. Doesn't need to be sold.
Nope. Doesn't even need to be seen by loads of people. The notes stress that joy, healing, simple self-expression. Those are completely valid reasons and outcomes for making things. Full stop.
That feels like such an important counter message right now. Okay, so finally, the notes get into something that I think really weighs on creators considering publishing.
Saturation and visibility.
Yeah, because, let's be real, it feels like there are millions of people making stuff online. Getting noticed seems impossible sometimes.
The notes don't sugarcoat it. They acknowledge that reality straight up. Yes, it's crowded. Yes, visibility can be tough.
And this seems to be the core takeaway here.
Visibility is not the same thing as value.
Say that again. Visibility is not value.
That distinction is key. The notes suggest other ways to think about it, beyond chasing huge numbers.
Like what?
Like choosing to create small, maybe just for your local community.
Or making work specifically for, like, 5 people who will deeply connect with it.
Focusing on depth over scale, meaning over metrics.
And they suggest flipping the script on saturation too?
Yeah, instead of seeing it purely as competition, oh no, too many people.
See it as abundance.
Exactly. As a sign that more people are finding ways to express themselves, to learn, heal, share. It's kind of amazing, actually.
So instead of competing with everyone,
Think about how you can contribute to that abundance. Instead of just seeking scale, maybe seek genuine connection with whoever your work does reach.
that reframing, yeah, that makes it feel less daunting, more empowering somehow.
Doesn't it? Which brings us nicely to the final encouragement in the notes. It sums it all up really well.
They remind you that publishing isn't like the final boss level.
No. It's just an extension of the creative act itself. It's a step,
A step into visibility, yes, and maybe vulnerability.
but also a step into contribution, into that conversation.
And sharing what you made. It's meaningful in itself, regardless of the numbers.
Whether thousands see it or just your best friend. That act of letting go, letting it be seen, it has value.
The notes are so clear on this. You don't have to be perfect before you share.
You definitely don't have to go viral for it to matter.
And you absolutely don't have to monetize it.
The core message, the fundamental truth from these notes, it's actually incredibly simple and, well, reassuring.
You just have to make something and, share it if you want to.
That's it. That's genuinely enough. Enough to change your own world, maybe. Or at least your corner of it.
So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is, in this world just overflowing with shared creations, how do you personally define what success really looks like for your work? Beyond the easy stuff like views or likes.
Yeah. What does meaningful success look like for you?